friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I have a brand new dragon friend with us here today whose name is Dewey. And Dewey is actually a really special dragon because he was handmade for me from a really special library patron family. So I wanted to feature Dewey today because he is just absolutely wonderful and I adore him. And I'm also really excited to be talking with you guys about this particular book today. So this is a book that it's been one of my most anticipated reads of the year. And it's not just one of my anticipated reads of the year, it's one of the literary world's most anticipated reads of the year. Because everybody's been talking about this book. This author is really fantastic. Everything she's done so far has been really amazing. And this book has been getting a lot of buzz. And the book is Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. Now you may be asking yourself, wait a minute, Dragon Librarian, this book doesn't come out until the end of August. That's true. So I was very lucky to be able to get an ARC, which is an advanced reader's copy of this book, when I was at a library conference in June. And this was one of my treasures from that weekend. This was, like I said, one of my most anticipated reads of the year. So I was really hyped to be able to read this early, and I devoured it like immediately. So here I am talking with you guys about it a little bit less than a month before it comes out to tell you more about the book and whether I think you will like it or not. So you may or may not already know, R.F. Kuang is the author of Babel, of Yellowface, and the Poppy War trilogy. All of which are very different books from each other. So I feel like everybody who started with her, like with the Poppy War, that's like this really dark, beautiful fantasy trilogy. And then you've got Babel, which is this like really hefty, dark academia, magical story. And then you've got Yellowface, which is like a contemporary story that talks a lot about the publishing world and a lot of the stuff that goes on with that. So I would say that this book compares most, I would say it's probably the most like Babel, in that it is a very, I don't want to say heavy book, because I mean, although it is a very big book, I don't mean heavy in the terms of like themes, because I feel like she talks about really great themes in all of her work. But it is a very rich academia book. It is a dark academia story. And basically what Katabasis means is it's a Greek word for a story talking about the descent into the underworld. And basically that is what this book is about. So it is about two Cambridge students, Alice and Peter, who are magic students at Cambridge, and their advisor has died in a freak magical accident, which we learn a little bit more about this accident as the story goes on. So he has died recently in this freak magical accident, and Alice and Peter decide to try to go into the underworld, into hell, to be able to retrieve his soul and bring it back. Why? It's not because they love him and they think he's a great guy. It's because they want him to write them recommendation letters to make sure that they get jobs when they're done school. So it started out, this book, I've watched some interviews with R.F. Kuang about it. It started out basically about a, sort of this theme of how academia is hell, right? And, but then it morphed into this deeper story about abuse and love and depression, and mental health, and just all this other really fascinating stuff. So, like I said, this book is the most similar to Babel. I think if you've read Babel and you loved that book, you will also love this book. I think if you're going into this story after having only read Yellowface, it's going to feel very different from that, but I still think you'll enjoy it. It's not that I don't think you'll like it, but I think you should just know that this is a very philosophy-heavy book. It deals a lot with all kinds of different philosophies. Basically, it talks about all different stories of the underworld, like from all different civilizations, and how they appear in this version of hell. And it is so fascinating. I thought this book was just absolutely incredible. It lived up to the hype, to the buzzy hype, and I know it hasn't come out yet, but everybody's been talking about this book and so excited for it, and I think it definitely lives up to the hype. It did not let me down at all. That being said, I think you should know what you're getting into, right? So it is a very dark book, but it's also very tongue-in-cheek too. Like, it is very much like, if you've gone through any like higher levels of academia and you're like, yeah, I get it, I feel that. Like, it really, really calls attention to some of the power dynamics between advisors and students, between teachers and students, between students with each other, and how brutal the academic world can be, with everybody vying for, the same jobs and things like that. But this is also a love story, which you're probably like, how can this possibly be a love story when we're talking about all those other things? So Alice and Peter are academic rivals, but they also have feelings for each other that come to the surface in many ways throughout this story. And watching these two idiots, and I say idiots like they're very, very intelligent, obviously, but they are just not great at human interaction. And watching these two idiots just like realize their feelings for each other and struggle with that and everything that happens is absolutely hilarious and amazing. And I loved every second of it. That being said, these are not perfect characters, Alice particularly. There's a lot to not like about her in terms of who she is as a person, but as you are reading the story, you understand her journey and you see her character growth. You understand why she is the way that she is. And the same with Peter as well. So even though these characters might not 100% be likable all the time, they are amazing to read about and just absolutely incredible. The writing, if you've read anything by R.F. Kuang before, you know how she writes. She is an amazing writer, and this book is no exception. I think out of the two, between Babel and this one, I think this, she has said in interviews that this was like the most difficult book to write, but also like the one that she put the most of herself in there, and you can really feel that. There's all these math and logic puzzles that are really interesting. There's all these interesting theories about time and space, and again, all the stuff about the underworld was amazing. So basically, Alice and Peter are traversing through all these different courts of hell, and this was my favorite part of the book because it made me put it down and laugh really loud. So one of the courts of hell is desire. And at one moment, Alice and Peter are going through and they're watching all these souls in the court of desire keep stumbling on the things that they, desired most in life. And there's this one person there, this one shade, there's one ghost who is basically over and over again sniffing a book. Like just opening a book and sniffing it over and over again. And Alice is like, what is this behavior? And Peter's like, yeah, you've never sniffed a book before? I felt that. I felt that in my soul, and I know where I would be if I was in the underworld in this book. So there's a lot to unpack with the story. There's a lot of different themes. If you love dark academia stories, if you love books that are really, really well written, that deal with a lot of different issues and themes, I think that this is a really complex, fascinating, incredible story that anyone could get a lot of enjoyment out of. I know I certainly did. I thought it was absolutely fabulous, and I just love it. And I just can't wait for it to come out for everyone else to be able to read it too. So this book comes out at the end of this month on August 26th. So we do already have many copies at Farmington Community Library that we have ordered. So if this book does sound interesting to you and you want to read it, please feel free to go on and on our website and put it on hold so that you'll be able to get it when it comes out. And I hope that this book sounds really incredible and amazing, and it did not let me down. Like I said, it was one of my most highly anticipated books of the year, and I am so, so happy that I was able to read it and loved it as much as I did. So go put it on hold now so you can read it when it comes out. Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.